And it's time once again for another episode of Digital Dice, the best podcast on the internet for your sports simulation and replay needs. I'm Ron.
I am Dave.
And it's episode 36, which we do not have a catchy name for.
Yeah, we were trying to think who was 36. The only thing I could think it was Jim Weimer for the Bruins.
I didn't look up any baseball players, but in the interim, I looked up who wore it for Montreal, and it was Sergio Momesso and Todd Ewan were the most notorious names to wear that.
I've heard of them, but yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Sergio does radio color in English for the Habs.
Oh, really?
In any event. So how are you?
Not too bad, considering the circumstances. But we got a good show today. We're going to talk about when you hit the score exact. You know, when you're playing your simulation and all of a sudden, bam, you hit something spot on or close to spot on, and you just take a step back and go, wow, that was pretty cool. So that's what we're going to talk about today. Yeah. So. And
also, you know, what we're playing this week, and a thank you, guys, for everything that you've done for us in our first 36 episodes. But first, what are we playing, Dave? And Becky, you're supposed to be socially distant with the mailman, not invite him in for tea. And what are you doing in the room?
Oh, the mailman, really? Is that where we went?
I thought an essential employee, Dave.
I thought you were
delivering an essential service.
I thought you were going to go with pineapple pizza delivery man. That's what I thought.
Only you would consider that an essential service.
That's right. I've been playing. I've been doing a lot of different things, Ron. Roberto Civini released a couple new seasons for Kill the Power Play. 73, 74, 74, 75. So, of course, I jumped all over that, and I already played a little mini tournament with the expansion team Washington Capitals and Kansas City Scouts, and I threw in the Seals, too. So I had them all play each other with Kill the Power Play, and I did a video on that because 74, 75, one of my favorite seasons to play. So I've been doing some of that. I played some more regular season basketball. And I played some 71-72 Knicks and Lakers. I did a video on one, and I did one offline. And, wow, what a game I had offline, Ron. Knicks were down, I want to say, by 10 with 2 rolls left. And they came back with 2 big rolls of the dice. Lakers rolled really low. They tied it and went into overtime and lost by a point to the Lakers in that game. That's a fun game.
That was the actual NBA final that year, too.
Yeah, so that's why I've been playing that. So I've been enjoying regular season basketball. And I do want to say thanks to all the listeners of the show and people that have watched my YouTube channel that have checked these games out and actually gone and bought them. I'm happy that I was able to help out. Show off these games because they are really, really fun games, really good games. So all the different games from Roberto Civini I did, and then the regular season basketball I did for Marco. It's almost every day I get a comment either publicly or privately or even on email that says, "Hey, I saw your video and I went and I picked up the game." So I'm happy that
Didn't you help somebody from Australia? Yeah,
I got an email from somebody from Australia. As we were doing our live show last night, actually, I got an email from Australia. It's like, I saw the video because can you send me your spreadsheet in Excel? Because I'm not really good with Excel, so can you send it to me? So I've actually sent that regular season basketball spreadsheet to, 3 or 4 or 5 people now. And it's just a simple spreadsheet I set up for the game, but it works. It works really good for what you're doing if you want to keep those stats. So, thanks for the compliments, and thanks for supporting these developers of these games, by the way, during a tough time. And they are really fun games. They really are.
They really, really are. In fact, that's one of the reasons why we're doing this show today, because of the topic that you and I have hit with one of those games.
The only other thing I did is, Ron, is I picked up Strat PC basketball. Yep, Strat PC basketball, because I watched you and Al play, and I really liked it. I did. I was like, that is kind of cool. I like what, how it looked and how it played and the whole bit. So I waited, and finally I picked it up last night and set it up. I'm still tweaking the settings because I want to get it just right, like I do with Action PC and even with the Strat hockey game. You got to tweak the settings a little bit, get the text speed just right, some of the animations just right, some of the settings just right, and then the game flows really nice. And so I'm still tweaking that. It's a little different than the hockey game, I noticed. It's got a couple more features, but it does some things a little differently.
It's a little more modern than the hockey game. Baseball, I haven't played the football game, so I honestly don't know the answer to this. But the baseball game seems to be the most developed of the four. But the basketball is a little more modern. And you still get it's all fast action driven, except for you get to actually roll for the shots, not in a manual way, but that. So you should enjoy that.
Yeah, I hope so. I mean, because it's, I'm in a basketball mode right now, and I've been playing the Sweet 16 from Roberto Schiavini and regular season basketball from Marco, and I've enjoyed both of those, so I figured it'd be fun to play some PC basketball and just kind of kick my feet up and play it that way there, and it's been fun. I'm finding it's a lot less interactive than the hockey. There's a lot less to do, at least off the bat. I'm still tweaking settings, but it's still fun watching the play around and taking the shot. And I love when the card comes up and you see it spin the dice. Yes. That's the best thing. Like when the guy takes the shot and it's like, is it on net? If it is, it's a goalie card. And this is kind of the same way. You get your player card, the defense, and the defender. So you get possible of 3 different cards to read off of, and the dice comes up and shows that. And that's been fun. And I'm just playing some of the seasons that I enjoy. And so I'll have some matchups coming up. And I think what I'm going to do, Ron, is because I watch you and Al play, and it is a long game. And it's just, there's nothing you can do about basketball. If you're rolling for all those shots, it's going to take a while.
You've got, I think it's 60 fast action cards per quarter.
Yeah.
But you got to have that many, because even in the modern game, which is an 80-shot game for a single team, you're still shooting the ball 160 times.
Right.
And so
I think what I'm going to do when I play is I will I'm going to play the first quarter, and then I think I'm going to zip ahead to the fourth. So I'll play 2 of the 4 quarters, and that should keep the game 45 minutes to an hour, and we'll get a pretty good feel of it. And I'll play around like that to see if that works, especially for streaming. If I'm just kicking here myself and I got the radio on, I might play the whole game and have some fun. But you don't want to sit through a 2-hour stream. That's a long stream to go. So if you can get 45 minutes to an hour by zipping ahead, I might do that. I don't know. I'm still playing with it.
Speaking of 2-hour streams,
yeah,
I did one Sunday. What an event we had last Sunday. Last weekend, of course, was supposed to be Masters weekend.
Yep.
And so we'd already figured out that I would actually play the Masters. Feature groups on Thursday and Friday, and leader coverage on Saturday and Sunday. And the first day was an hour and 40. We had a good time. Friday was a bit shorter. I'm not sure why. So 20 minutes shorter. On Saturday, on leaders that weren't necessarily household names, and a big charge by Arnold Palmer. So we get to Sunday and going live, and Arnold and Sam Snead are in the next to last group. And so do I do those? No, I don't really want to go 2 hours. Well, it turns out that they stuck around long enough that they got on because they were just too close. In fact, the person that almost won the tournament, Peter Thompson, wasn't anybody I had ever thought would ever be there. He won 5 British Open championships, and that was the extent of his major championship career. And had a chance on 16 and made a 3-putter or something like that. So Arnold Palmer, one behind on the 15th, in the middle of the 15th fairway, hitches us up his pants and goes with whatever club I gave him, and he nearly holed it for a double eagle. The last par 5 on the course.
Oh, wow.
And so he lands at about it rolls to about a yard short of the hole.
Ugh.
So he's got and so we're doing the whole Augusta voice thing and don't get too loud and blah, 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 blah. And then it turns into the Super Bowl because he's nearly double eagled it, which would have given him the lead. He taps in his 3-footer for eagle. He's in it. The crowd is into it. By the way, so many people watched over the weekend. I'm so thankful for that. And so he gets to the par 3 16th. You have to aim to the center right of the green because the pin is on the left, but it will roll right in the water if you aimed at the hole. So he hits it. It drifts to the right. He's got 65 feet for birdie and proceeds to 4-putt.
I think I saw some of that.
He walks off the 16th green with a double bogey.
Ugh.
And it's one of those things that if you were watching it live on television, I mean, he made a 3 and a 5. If he made the 5 on 15 and the 3 on 16, it's even par. But the story goes he had to kick in birdie on 15 and then double 16.
That's nuts. When I was playing, was it the Heroes of the Master?
He did Heroes of the Majors.
Majors, yeah. It was the Roberto Schiavini golf game. Yeah. And I ended up going hole by hole for the last round with I think 4 or 6 golfers. I forget how many I did. And there was one. What was fun about that? One guy got a hole in one, and one other guy he rolled a 7 over par. He rolled the bad number, and then you have to read off the bad chart, and it was 7 strokes over on a par 4. He rolled an 11. But that's what makes it fun. That's it. You know, it's like he almost albatrossed, and then he comes away with a 4 putt. That's golf.
But it's one of those things that when you're sharing something like that will stick with you. It's the walk-off safety. It's the walk-off wild pitch. It's the crazy things that you don't expect. I mean, here you go. Here's one of the big. Everybody knows who Arnold Palmer is, especially if you're listening to this show. And to have, okay, here he comes. Arnold's going to make a charge on Sunday. I think at one point I said, because you don't really know, as with any play-by-play announcer, when you watch something like that unfold, how do you handle that? I mean, there's people with experiences and know where to put in the ad-libs and stuff like that. I think at one point, because his playing partner, as I said, was Sam Snead, I said, Snead at this point has turned away. He just can't bear to watch.
Yeah.
You know, it's like, so that's fun. That was fun. And so that's baseball. I did 5 games of baseball, Red Sox and Yankees in 78, meant for the first time. That replay for the first time as of Thursday's taping, or Thursday's live stream, finally has all 4 real-life division winners in first place. I think that's the first time in any Action PC replay I've done that real life matches up with, as far as the standings are concerned, with the simulated results. Now it's early. We still have 90 games to go, and everything is within 5 games. But I just found that interesting. I know that's not necessarily what people want in a replay, but
yeah, that's how it's turned out.
By the way, blew a 9-game lead in that division early.
You talk about blowing leads. I've been playing Action PC. I've been playing my Spiders, my 1899 Cleveland Spiders. I see. I play a game, then I sim a few games. I'm not going to play every game, that's for sure. But I played another one this morning, and we improved to 0-10 on the season. We lost another heartbreaker. As the coach said, we may not be winning, but we are competitive. It has been fun. The Cleveland Spiders.
I may not be the Queen of England, but I might have dreamt about her at some point in my 48-year life. Yes.
I'm thinking that if they were 20 and 134, that means that every 7th game I would win. So I'm a little bit behind right now. So we got to turn it around at some point.
Yes, turn it around.
But the thing is, to be fair, I'm just playing it. I'm not.
You're just having a good time.
Yeah, I'm having a good. I'm not managing it. I'm not putting in guys. I mean, once in a while I'll change the pitcher, or maybe I'll put in a pinch hitter. But I'm really not in the nitty gritty of this. I'm just letting it roll as it plays out. So, but to be fair, the computer's really not subbing in anybody either. We're just kind of, doing our thing there. So it's been kind of fun.
You got a guy with the last name of Cauliflower on your team.
Cauliflower, yeah. I played Cauliflower. I put him in at first base today. I got a guy named Quinn and a guy named Harley. So I have Harley Quinn, I call him. Quinn's my leadoff guy. He's unbelievable. We played one of my pitches is high ball. So I got a high ball pitcher today. And we played who was the pitcher today? For Cleveland.
Noodles Hahn.
Noodles. Yeah, Noodles Hahn beat us today. And Noodles even got a hit today. He batted. He got a hit.
Noodles is a Hall of Fame pitcher, by the way.
Okay.
So no shame in that.
Sorry, I didn't know Noodles. Can I call him Ramen? Can I call him Ramen?
Yeah, you could. Or Egg.
Noodles.
Ramen Noodles didn't exist then. You can call him Egg.
Yeah, Noodles beat the Spiders today.
Yes. Let's see. What was I going to say? You missed it because you never come to my baseball streams.
I do sometimes.
Today, because someone asked if you were going to root for the Mets. In all seriousness, apparently the ownership of the Cleveland Spiders also bought the St. Louis Perfectos that season. Before that season.
Okay.
And because they were syndicated ownerships, they shipped all of Cleveland's best players to St. Louis.
Oh, is that what happened?
And so that's why you went 20 and 134.
I actually was watching another video on the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, the 0-26, 76 Buccaneers. And I might have mentioned this if I did. I'm sorry. But
we did the live streams. It's kind of hard to tell since we do this every day.
Yeah. No, they were interviewing some of the players of the team. And they were saying how in 76, when they had that yucky team, that a lot of guys got hurt. And so not only did they have cast-offs from other teams and just guys that wouldn't have made other teams, those guys got hurt, and they would just and nobody wanted to play for them. Like by the end of the season, when they were 0-10, nobody wanted to play for them, and so they said they got like grocery clerks and construction guys just to fill out the roster at the end of the year. So no wonder why they were getting stomped on. You know, so I didn't know it was that bad for the team in 76. I know they lost a lot of games, but I didn't know the ins and outs. And then the next year, they were losing games 10-0, 13-0, 10-3. I mean, their defense was phenomenal. They were keeping the team in it, but the offense couldn't score. So if you go back and look at that second year, there are so many games they were in. But if the offense just could have scored a touchdown or a field goal, they might have been, tied or something. But it's interesting read with all that stuff. Good stuff.
Yeah.
And so I'm playing the Spiders right now. And when I'm playing the regular season basketball, I've been playing the Buffalo Braves, 71-72 Buffalo Braves. I don't know anything about the Buffalo Braves, but I know they're not around anymore. And I love, so they're the golden seals of the NBA for me anyway. And so I'm going to play those on the regular season basketball. And also I get the 71-72 season for the Strat basketball. So I'll be playing some video games with the Buffalo Braves, see if they can get a win.
And if you're not familiar with their NBA lineage, they're now Dub City. They're the Los Angeles Clippers.
Okay. I didn't know that. But somebody posted a link on my Facebook page today about a book about the Cleveland Spiders, so I might have to check that out.
It was Appichatter or...
Andrew, I think it was Andrew.
Andrew Rothman. Yep, nice guy. He's the one that today he sent me... he's from Louisville.
Okay.
And so he'll send me stuff every day, and today's was a huge Louisville Slugger.
Oh, nice.
And so, like a multi-story Louisville Slugger, and I said, "Oh, is that Paul Bunyan's bat?"
Too funny. So
that's what we're playing.
Yeah,
and I'll talk about my Roberto Civini stuff during the main topic of the show.
Okay. You got some stats you want to talk about before we get to the main topic?
Oh, you want to do that now?
Yeah, go ahead. Right. Go ahead.
So we now have 217 people on our Facebook group, and so that's been growing. But we hit 200 last week or the week before?
I think we opened up the show last week with 200.
With that, so thank you all so much, and you guys share all your projects with us, and we see everything, and it's a good group. And so if you've joined, super, facebook.com/groups/Digital Dice.
Yep, exactly.
Exactly. Okay. We never gave out the 976 number. If you want to text us, you can text us, leave a voicemail at.
Yeah, it's 978-751-DICE, 978-751-3423. You can send us a text if you'd like to send us a text, if you don't want to send us a message on Facebook or anything like that.
And so, yeah, that's 976. That's the old score lines that you paid 50 cents a call for.
Yeah, this one's 978.
Howie Rose, who did the Islander games for a long time and now is the Mets radio announcer, that's how he got his start, doing updates for the 976-1313 Sports.
I remember
the numbers.
1988. I was dating some girl in New Hampshire, and for some reason I was watching the hockey game at her house, and it was the Kings and Flames. I think it was Game 7, Kings and Flames from the LA Forum, and they went into like double overtime, and I was like, I gotta go, I'm tired. So I drove home, and I get home, and the game was over, and there was no internet back then. It wasn't on the radio. I couldn't get on the TV, and I actually called the hotline to get the score of the game. I was like, hey, who won the Kings game tonight? The game's over. It's I got home at 1:30, 2 in the morning, whatever time it was, dialed up the number, gave me the score of the hockey game, and it was Kings scoring in overtime. I think
there you go.
Krushelnyski scored.
Who?
Krushelnyski scored. He was getting tackled. If you remember the goal, he was getting tackled as he whacked at it, and it went up over the air, and I think it went over Vernon's head and went in the net.
Oh, what a way to lose.
Yeah, it was a bizarre goal and over. I think it was Kings somebody. I think it was Kings Flames from the Forum. That was back when hockey was unbelievable. But, yeah, so that's the only time I've ever called that number there was 1988.
So we've done 35 episodes of this show, okay?
Yeah, this will be 36, yep.
This is our 36th. And so you guys have been so amazing. We told you about the Facebook group, which has gone up 10% in a week. We estimate that 40,000 of you have listened to at least one show. We have 40,000 downloads and plays between YouTube and Spreaker and Spotify and iTunes and iHeartRadio and things that Dave mentioned to me that I'd never heard of before that you can find us at. Thank you so much. That's over 1,000 people a show.
Yeah, it's pretty incredible. When I looked at those numbers today, I just said, I want to know how we're doing here. And it come up to be, 34,000 on Spreaker.
34,000 outside of YouTube.
Yeah, and we estimated 6,000 on YouTube. And
yeah.
And so, there might be some people that have listened to it twice. So, I mean, that might tick twice or whatever. But still, it's wow. We're just pretty amazed at the people that listen to the show. Just want to say thanks to everybody. And the audience has been great. And the interaction has been great. So, thanks so much.
Absolutely. So, thank you. And, of course, we're not going anywhere. Quite literally and figuratively,
right?
At least here for the next 28 days. But yeah, thank you so much. That really is gratifying to both Dave and I that you guys listen. So,
yep. So
on that note,
let's hit the main topic.
So at some point you pulled out the cards and the dice or the worksheets or whatever, and you're rolling things and you're happy with what you got, and you take the time to either look up what the real score was of a game, a season, or whatever, and you go, holy smoke, we actually nailed that on the nose.
What I do sometimes, Ron, is I will, if I'm doing a project, especially a shorter project, I'll put the final scores in my spreadsheet as I'm doing it to see. Like when I did the whole the Super Bowl things with the Roberto Civini football games, I had the final score there, and so when I got done, I could see how close I was. So I do it that way sometimes too.
Absolutely, and so the other day I've been trying out some of his games, and not streaming them, but posting on the Digital Dice screenshots on Digital Dice and on his Roberto Civini's group on Facebook, and so I ran the 200-meter medley. No, the first one I did was the 100-meter dash final for the men at the 1984 Olympics in Los Angeles. And although Carl Lewis didn't win, although he should have won, he just got some terrible dice rolls. Sam Grady, Graddy, I'm assuming that's how you pronounce it, won. And I thought the time was slow. Not that, that's an effect on the game or anything, but he came out at 10:01 is what he ran the 100 in. And so when I looked it up, the winning time for the 100 was 9:99, and so he was within 2 100ths. Like, okay, that's pretty cool. I didn't look at the rest, but that was pretty cool. I'll take that. And so the next game I pulled out was his swimming game, the old one, Central Lane Swimming. And I wanted to race a Michael Phelps race because that's the biggest name in our lifetime in the sport, and I just wanted to play it with some name that I knew. So I rolled the race, which was a 200-meter race is split into 50-meter segments, okay? So you roll for form, and then you can change ratings before the race begins. So I had all my swimmers on the blocks, raced everybody, got to the last thing, wasn't really thinking, Phelps obviously won. And so I go to look just out of curiosity. How close was this to the actual time? Because I really don't know anything about how fast time should be. You get in the swimming game, you get an average time, and you adjust based on the dice rules how much faster or slower. So that's how you get your results. And so when I looked up Phelps's time on Wikipedia, which I'm assuming is right, I know you should never trust Wikipedia. I had the winning time at 1:54:26, and his real life winning time was 1:54:27.
Wow,
which is incredible. But wait, there's more.
Okay.
The third place finisher from, I think, Hungary, and I'm not going to even attempt to say that name, nailed his bronze time. It was absolutely exact. Now, I'm not adding these up as I go. The computer's adding them up, so I have no idea if they're accurate or not. I'm trying to do in my head, did I get the calculation right and all that? But yeah, so the winning time was 1/100th of a second off, and the bronze medal time was on the nose, absolutely on the nose. And when you think about it, because it's 4 random dice rolls, that's remarkable.
Yeah, I mean, just the odds of that happening. I mean, you're going to get close, but not that close. I had the same thing, Ron, when I was playing I replayed the 1920 Olympics. Mm-hmm. Okay, and it was using a version of Kill the Power Play. I think it's just called the Olympic hockey, but I think it's like Kill the Power Play without the power play part of it, I think. And in one of the games, the USA played Switzerland in one of the opening rounds. And when I looked at the Switzerland because you cross-reference the offense versus the defense, as you do in most quick play games. Switzerland had 2 defensive ratings, and they were both very poor. And so I was like, what's up with this? And so I says, when I contacted Roberto, he says, no, you roll both. So I looked at the USA offense, compared it to one of the Switzerland defenses and rolled, and then compared it to the other defensive rolled and added the 2 numbers together for a final score, right? And I thought that was like, that doesn't make any sense that I'm adding this many goals for hockey. So my final score against Switzerland in hockey, because I rolled twice, was 29-0. And when I checked the 1920 Olympic score, the USA beat Switzerland 29-0. It was spot on, exact score. And I couldn't believe it. I was just like, this is insane. I mean, you're talking a hockey game, Ron. I mean, most hockey games, what, 4-3, 3-2, whatever. I get that, right? I get that as my dog starts to bark. But so I'm going into this thing and I'm thinking 29-0. This is nuts. And I rolled 29-0. And I took a step back. I stood up out of my chair and I was like, that was amazing. It really was. It was like, are you kidding me here? 29-0. I hit that exact. And what are the chances of that score? A 4-3, a 3-2 score, you hit exact. It's no big deal. I mean,
right.
Hockey that's general hockey scores. But to hit that particular number.
Nothing.
Yeah. And there was one other time when I did final score from Downey. I did the entire 70-71 season.
I remember going through that with you and almost, figuratively falling on the floor.
There was something, I think the standings were almost exact, except I think 3rd and 4th place were flipped in one conference. Some teams I hit exact points. Some teams I hit exact goals. And there was a lot of dice.
You got exact goals allowed, too, or within a couple.
Yeah, it was just, it's amazing. So that's what we kind of said, let's talk a little bit about that today, is what happens when you're playing a game and you roll the dice and you get down and you look down and you're like, holy cow, I hit this exact, maybe not exact, but like right up to it, and just
kind of go. I think, for me, it kind of shows the strength of whatever game engine you're doing. Now, you don't necessarily want Roger Clemens striking out 20 on April 29th, 1986, or Bucky Dent hitting a home run in the 7th inning of a one-game playoff in 78, or any of those things. I mean, we've always talked about you don't want to, as Ian and Robbie pointed out in the comments, that you don't necessarily want a dry recitation of whatever happened over the course of a season. But especially when you're doing a card and dice simulation where they're dumb and random as far as that the computer isn't keeping track of that until if you're doing something on an Excel spreadsheet, it doesn't know what you're referencing, and that's just bits and bytes. And so it completely is, as far as you're concerned, random. And when you do something like the Final Score Project, when you're rolling hundreds of games, you're not knowing in your head what's right and what's wrong unless you have it memorized what you're supposed to get. I just find that to be remarkable.
It's fun, and like you were saying, is that we don't play these games, and we'll get into a couple comments in a minute. We don't play these games to have Clemens do all those strikeouts. We don't play these games to expect the 80 Olympic team in hockey to beat the Russians. It's just not going to happen in 90% of the replays, because that was such an upset. But when you play something and all of a sudden it's like, boom, it's like, wow, that was pretty amazing, and again, I played one of the football games there, and it's the final was 35-10, and I rolled 35-9. I mean, that was almost exact, so when you do stuff like that, it just jumps out at you, and you're like, wow, that was pretty neat, because again, you're rolling for variety, you're rolling to see what can be different, because that's why we play these. It's like, am I going to get the same result, or am I going to get different results? Now, if we get the same result all the time, it would be boring.
Exactly.
So you want to have different, you want to say, hey, look, this team won the Super Bowl, or this team won the Stanley Cup, or this team beat this team. Great. In my Seals replay, the Seals won a few more games than they did. And that was the idea behind the replay.
And that's why you play. You would take a team that maybe didn't win a championship. We talked about this before. Can you get the 78 Red Sox into the playoffs? Can you get the Bruins past the Canadiens at any point in the 50s, 60s, or 70s? We won't talk about 88. That just didn't happen. Shut up. I mean, that's why a lot of people play, is to proverbially right the wrong or whatever. But for me, it's a case of, in the back of your head, that the game itself is doing the right thing when you get a result that either mirrors real life. Not exactly. Like you said, we don't want everything to be lined up. But when you get that, wow, your random dice rolls and you're adding them all together and you don't know the splits in your head, like I did in the racing game and the swimming game, or the final score, you weren't doing the stats you just did that at the end of the year, right?
Yeah, for the hockey, yeah, I just wrapped up the end of the year and then I compared to what I had.
Right. And so, I remember looking through Hockey Reference with you. That just makes okay, the game is solid.
Yeah, and I think that's what we're getting at here, is that, certain teams are going to win just because the percentages and they're a better team and they're rated better. I get that. But when you get a final score between two teams and you look back at what they did in the past, or maybe you're replaying a certain game or a certain series or something like that, and you go, wow, out of the blue, I got a score that was really close or almost exact. And instead of that team winning 35-0 or 26-20, they won 35-9, actual score 35-10. That was pretty amazing. Now some of the other games weren't as close, but when you do that, it's always special when you get something almost exact and you're just like, wow. You said it says something for the game, that the game was built properly and it's got a good engine behind it, that you can actually reproduce that. But at the same time, you do look for variety. But when it happens, though, it is kind of cool when it happens.
Yeah, and on the other hand, it's also nice when you get different results. I mean, the first football replay I did, we got the Steelers being the Cowboys late. And we had I had three of the four final four teams in the playoffs that year. The Patriots didn't make the AFC Championship game in real life. That was Houston. But I had Dallas, Los Angeles, Pittsburgh there. And that was fine. I mean, they all deserved to be there. There wasn't like it was predestined to be. But this past year in that cluster of an 86 replay we did, I did not have any of the final four in my championship games. I had the Patriots and Seattle in my AFC championship game, and I had Chicago and San Francisco in my NFC championship game. Yeah. And the Patriots won that Super Bowl. They upset Joe Montana and the 49ers. And so that's also a cool result too, because you didn't want the Giants to dominate. Oh, I did, because I'm a Giant fan. But you really don't start those things to make sure that the Giants and Broncos play each other. Right. Yes, it was nice that Pittsburgh and Dallas did. They were the two best teams in football that particular year. But it was nice to, it's nice to have some variety, which goes to show that the computer games can be a bit different too.
Yeah.
And, so.
Well, you remember when I did my my 76 Buccaneers experiment when I played the Steelers, because that was their biggest blowout of the year. And I replayed that in, geez, how many games did I play that in? I think I might have played like 5 or 6 different games.
I think it was close to like 13.
Yeah, I had a lot of football.
You played it in every engine that you possibly had.
It might have been 10. Might have been 10 different games, including Action PC. And some of the games were really close. Some were somewhere at all, but it was neat to do that experiment with all the different games. I had quick play games. I had medium games like Game Winning Drive. I had long play games. I think I did it in Fast Action Football, which is a long game, then Action PC. So I did a whole bunch of a variety of games, and it was fun seeing how close I could get that score to real life. It really was. And I think it was Action PC, I think, was the closest I came, if I'm not mistaken. And actually, one game, Tampa Bay won. That was the nutty game when I was rolling all low for Pittsburgh and all high for Tampa.
And that's how it'd have to be. And it
was just a perfect storm, and they would never beat them in real life. But it was just fun when a couple of those were almost exact. It was kind of neat. So a couple comments on that, Ron. So we talked about there.
So go ahead and read Ann's.
Yeah, so Ann basically says, I almost don't want to hit a score exact as it was. The fun of a sports sim to us is finding out what would happen if things went a little differently. And that's kind of why we play, is we want to see our results to what happened. Because if it was, like I say, if it was the same score every time, or then it's not as fun. And Robbie agrees. He says, I don't play a sim to see results, to be copied from real life anyway. So,
and on the other side of that, Gideon writes, in two relatively recent examples spring to mind. I ran a replay of the 1982 Soccer World Cup using Soccer Blast and got 3 of the 4 semifinalists correct. My final was an exact replay of the real one, Italy versus West Germany, although unlike in real life, the Germans won on my tabletop. What was really incredible, though, was that when I was putting together some statistics at the end of the tournament, my goal tally was of 146 in 52 games was the exact match of the real life tally. Not something what I was expecting, but very satisfying. And I agree. You know, that just goes that, look, you can have different results, but the engine behind a game is spot on.
right.
Also, when I finished my 1980 PGA Tour replay with History Maker Golf, Lee Trevino won the Varden Trophy for low stroke average with an average of 69.7 strokes. In real life that year, he won the Varden Trophy with an average of 69.73. Not exactly spot on. Yes, it is.
Yeah.
But with a difference of 0.03 a stroke around over a whole season is pretty amazing. And he likes your visors. I won't read the rest of it, but but just goes to show that, yes, you know, I think we want to know. I agree with Gideon. We want to know, as I put myself back up so I can see you, we want to know that what we're playing replicates to the best of its ability what we're trying to do. It doesn't necessarily have to be an exact thing, but to know that the numbers behind it are not only within the bell curve of 5%, but maybe even within 1% or exact in the cases that Gideon mentioned and you and I mentioned. I think it just says wonders about the design of the game.
Yeah, I mean, because there was one game, I won't mention the game I played, but I ran through the Buccaneers season in '76, and they went 8-8. That is not realistic. That is really not
even close.
Yeah, so that was okay. That was a little goofy how that worked out. But you know, in all my other replays, I think there was one replay I did. They won one game, but they could have won a game. You know, that's how some of the scores were that close. You know, in real life they didn't though. But yeah, so we want to know some of your experiences. Do you like it when you hit the score exact, or is, you know, maybe that's not what people want. Maybe people want something completely different every time.
Are you more one that wants the stats pretty close, but wants some variety? You know, what would be the ideal thing? How much of a difference do you want? Are you? I know that one of our regular listeners says that, you know, he wants the stats to be close, more of a stat than wins and losses. Or are you more into getting the wins and losses and the stats? Or, you know, what combination of that do you want? Or do you get excited when you go through and say, this was a 134-132 double overtime thriller on my tabletop, and I looked it up on Pro Basketball Reference, and 135, 133 in double overtime, and Bird had 57 points and 28 rebounds. Oh my God, it's, you know.
Yeah, see, that makes it fun. But on the same token, if every game was like
I
that,
wouldn't want it all the time. I wouldn't want it all the time.
No. But
when it gets it right,
I think when it gets it right, it's special. When it's that close, when you are that close or spot on to a score, I think it really makes it special. But what makes it special is it doesn't happen all the time.
Right. I think there's a sweet spot there.
Yeah.
There's an absolute sweet spot.
Yeah. So what are your thoughts as you're listening to this? What are your thoughts on hitting the score exact? Is that something you like? Do you celebrate that? Or is that something that maybe you don't like because you want to get different results? Are you happy with it happening once in a while? So we want to know what your thoughts are on when you hit the score exact when you play your replay. So Anyway,
so how do they get a hold of us there, Mr. Gardner?
All right, well, let's fire things up, shall we?
Yes.
All righty. Ways to get a hold of us. Our website is digitaltodice.com. That's where we park all of our podcasts over on Spreaker. We get now 36 podcasts up, including this one right here. Phone number, you can text us, 978-751-DICE, 978-751-3423. And on Facebook, facebook.com/group/digitaltodice. Ron, thanks for joining me again today.
As always.
Thanks, everybody. And yeah, be sure to tune in on my YouTube channel. We usually go live 6:30 every night as we have a little support chat. And we talk about this. We talk about other things. We just kind of talk about happy things. Last night, we talked about newspaper comics. So we have a good time there. So feel free to join us there. Talk to everybody later. Bye-bye. All right. Sounds good.
Yeah.
All right.